the front foot that opens the way. Almost like what happens with a ruling party and government. The ruling party becomes the front foot, which defines what the government shall do, and then leads the way, and then sets the ideology and so on. Kamweza anozojoina kugovernment, arusvika kugovernment he never reads, and he is coming to a government in a direction, a government in an ideology. Saka, whether one is not a member of the ruling party of that country, even an expatriate child coming to work because of his skills, but they still respect the direction which that government wants to go. That's how World Economic Congress ought to do. It must still, the people who come in there, they may not, some of them may even not be Christians, but they will still respect the ethos that you have set in place, because it's our institution. And we have said before, it's like it's like a non-believer joining a Seventh-day Adventist school. There are certain things, you can't start messing around with their Sabbath. There are certain things that you can't demand classes on Saturday. There will be no teacher and there will be nobody to open the classroom, because this is who they are. And if you join that school, you respect those things, and you sign up to it. So there are certain things that World Economic Congress, people who come in there, they may be from other faiths or from no faith, but they must be, like signing up to certain basics. This is part of what I'm just talking about. Then things like dates of next meetings, it's part and parcel of the marching forward, and so on. Yeah. And when I say dates of next meetings, I'm aware that we have to set meetings like there are meetings of the task force, there are meetings of the marketplace forum, then there are regular meetings that are the KIAM as a body, like first Wednesday of the month. Yeah. So in short, I had to mention this so that when I say are there any questions, we then can avoid questions of things that we are going to cover anyway. Right. Are there any other questions before we now get into the flesh of our meeting? Questions or comments and whatever. Okay. Then, as we go forward, one of the things that we were supposed to do, which we can still do now, is to have a secretary of the task force, because that will help us now to keep records. A secretary of the task force. All right. Any nominee or volunteer? Any nominee or volunteer? Secretary, obviously, we are talking of somebody who then should be having capacity as well as time to produce the minutes on time. Because if, for example, the task force is going to be meeting weekly, minutes need to be ready at least 2 days after the previous meeting to allow them to work on it. Any nominee or volunteer for that? So that person that will start with this session. Seconded. Any objections or opposition? Okay. fine. I think you are set. You already have the laptop with you in front of you there. You already have your personal helper as well with you. So I think that's fine. Okay. I think this is considered because we're going to administration anyway. So I think that's fine. Thank you so much. So we are moving on now, therefore, into we may just say, I want to call it the introduction or the opening framework. I've got a few points here concerning the introduction and the opening framework. The KIAM Marketplace Forum I will take this. I think we are going very far. When you see us starting a meeting and that comes from nowhere, guys, after some days, you must stitch up your pockets. Money is about to come. Money is about to come. Thank you. I think as part of just the opening introduction, I want to just to say the following points. One of is we say when we are opening the complex again. I hope that when we advance, we will be able to system of getting ourselves. Yeah. Let's move right over one. Or prayer who Africa. Although open windows were helpful for ventilation. Or the next one. So let's activate technology. So let's activate. Or you guys do high technology. Yeah. So maybe we pull up like 24. If it was in Europe, to 60. As soon as the airport is exactly what to do. When I'm on the there are chairs available. And those people so I wanted to just say as the KIAM Marketplace Forum, I mentioned last time with what we call an unfair advantage, because we have access to divine information, access to divine knowledge. Yesterday we had a very interesting encounter with a testimony from a man who he has got a farm which he obtained 25 years ago. But this man and his wife, they took some 30 minutes giving us their testimony of how they got the farm. It was just completely divine guidance. Divine guidance. It brought them into a farm. And through divine guidance, they were able to bring 4 others to also own farms near them. Right. So there are 5 of them. They stay near one another. The other 2 are not even Christian believers. But he invited them because they were useful. And they were just good people. So they have established a collaborative community. But this was just because God will speak, you know, through dreams, through visions, through scriptures. And you take those things seriously. And you pray for them or pray over them. I think Bishop Matongo usually used to have, I don't know whether it's still happening with him, but he used to have a habit when he was leading prayer. He used to have a habit of saying, let's write visions down. And let's pursue them until we see the answer. Even if it's a negative vision, let's pursue it until it's off the way. If it's a positive vision, let's pursue it until it's off the way. So I mean, it was just very interesting, you know, like listening to this guy. So God has got details, and God has got. Sometimes God wonders why we are toiling when He knows how to get the thing done. More faster, more easy, even more bigger. So, as a KIAM Marketplace Forum, I want to encourage us to become much more than simply church people who gather together to do business but without God. Let us become God's people, God's children, who actually work with God in the Marketplace Forum. Because that way we'll go where no humans can go. But God can take us there. God will take us there. And this guy, God led him to the extent that, and his wife, God led them to the extent that even when now these farms, the first people that were in charge of the allocations of these farms, those first people were not giving them important status because they were saying, we are the seniors. So they were given right at the periphery, at the fringes there. But because God is God, when these preliminary allocations had been done and finished, when the thing went now to the cabinet, to the government ministers, the allocations were reversed, and this guy was given the best part of the land. He was given the best part of the land to the extent that he says, I was ashamed to go and pick my letter of allocation because I was afraid of being terrorized by those whom he knew were more senior than him. But God gave him where God had shown him in the vision. And that's where the cabinet ministers put him there. So cabinet ministers, they did override. Okay, cabinet ministers were not church members. But God came into the cabinet meeting supernaturally and guided to ensure that this guy must get what God promised. May we become a marketplace forum which will get what God wants us to get. I mean, this is just very important. Because there are things that people don't want you to get. There are things that people don't want us to get. There are things that even your relatives, they think you are unfit to get certain things or to get to a certain level. But God is not a fool. He believes that you are fit. So let's be a marketplace forum that can pursue God's mind. Pursue God's mind until God's mind prevails pertaining to us. Now, the second point I want to also say in this matter is, let us move when God's window is open. There is something that's called God's window. Now, when God's window is open, everything out there might look ridiculous. But if God's window is open, let's just move. Like what Abraham said to Isaac. He said, yeah, Jehovah Jireh. I know we use Jehovah Jireh to say the Lord will provide. But there is the original meaning of Jehovah Jireh, which means it shall be seen upon the mountain. It will be seen by God. God who has called us. He will provide when we have obeyed Him. Because if God's window is open, who am I to waste time looking at adversaries next door? I think this was the whole essence of our theme of the last Congress, when we were saying marching beyond global turbulence. Turbulence will be there, but God's window is open. Let's move. That's how we are going to succeed, whether it's a business project or it's a social investment project. Because our marketplace forum is driving and promoting both. Now, point number 3. In fact, whilst we are at that point, I hope some of you managed to listen to my Passover message, which I actually posted on Monday. It's an inspired message. Even myself, I'm listening to it over and over again, because I don't want to miss what God is saying. The whole concept of Passover, it means circumstances, natural circumstances, they disqualify you. But God's circumstances and God's judgment is that your weaknesses must be passed over. Just through the blood. Your weaknesses must be passed over. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. Yeah. When I see the blood, I will not check whether you passed you passed your A level with 15 points. I will pass over that. I will still take you out without feebleness, and I will take you out with silver and gold. I will pass over. And don't think that the Israelites that were taken out of Egypt, don't think that those people were sinless. Those guys, some of them were liars. Big time liars. You know, one thing we know about Jews is that many of them are liars. Abraham lied, it's written in the Bible. Isaac lied, Jacob was worse. Their children lied on so many occasions. But the Passover, it passed over all those lies. And the window opened. So it became a time to just enter and live from poverty. So I am saying God has launched the KIAM Marketplace Forum at a time where so many natural things may not end up, but the window is open. Let's enter. Yes. Let's just enter. It's important. These principles are important for us to understand them at the foundation stage, so that when it comes to individual projects, not disqualify ourselves now. We'll not start to disqualify ourselves to say, this one is not there. No, there is Passover. This one and that one might not be there, but it's Passover. When I see the blood, I'll pass over it. But one of the things that you must understand in economic and business issues is that this is a prohibited territory in the natural. The area of wealth is a prohibited territory. In the natural, we are all disqualified. And the list of things that disqualify us is just too big. And it's a list that is older than every one of us. But the blood of Jesus passes over all those lists. And we enter. So let's always, on every project, let's just sense whether the window is open. If the window is open, let's enter. And explain later. Yes. You know, there are certain doors which, if you have been waiting for public transport for 2 hours, then one arrives, and it's facing where you want to go. Now, and it's facing, and the door is open. The thing has stopped for you. Yeah. Don't start to ask questions outside while you're standing outside to say, now, if I go inside, will you be stopping at the places where I want to buy drinks? You've been waiting for 2 hours. Please enter and negotiate from inside. Yeah. Enter, sit down. You know, and negotiate from inside. Not to try to negotiate when you are not a passenger. It doesn't work. So, in this principle, they don't just work for Christians. They also work even for non-Christians. And that's what the Chinese do. They enter, when they can't speak your language, they still enter. They negotiate from inside. And that's what we discovered. Recently about like ownership of farms and how the land reform, how it was moving. People were negotiating from inside. All the guys that were first asking questions, they say, are there some lawyers dealing with this thing? Which lawyers? The lawyers were there, but they don't have land. Yeah. People who know nothing about law have got land. Because the door opened and they went inside. Yeah. And they started negotiating while inside. Now, you were calling them land invaders, but they were inside. You were speculating from project. But these guys are sitting on the farm. Today they are landlords. They are landowners. A door opened and people didn't realize it. So that's how some of these things work. It's very, very important. So we will be receiving many opportunities as KIAM Marketplace Forum. And some of the opportunities will be like a slaughtered chicken, but the feathers are still there. You know, we are all like, don't start saying, first receive it. The skinning part will happen when it's now yours. It will happen at your own time. So that is very, very important. I wanted to just emphasize that. My next point, and these points I think they are important because these are the points that have delayed Christians and the church people and impoverished them. Isaiah 4, I will not read it, but you will read it at your own time. Isaiah 4, This one speaks about a time of turbulence and difficulties. It's a verse which speaks, it uses a very bad example which gender activists will not want to hear about that verse. Because it says in that day, 7 women will take hold of one man and they will say, Bishop, I think you reading it every day.
Give us the name. We only want your name.
We'll provide our own clothing,
Yes.
our own food. We just want to be called by your name. Full stop. So it's talking about a time of turbulence and pressure. But guess what? It says in that very same day of turbulence, it says the branch of the Lord shall be beautiful. And when he says the branch, it's capital letter B, it's talking about the Messiah. Right. Which means divine solutions shall be beautiful. Divine solutions shall be a big answer in that day. And then it says, the branch of the Lord shall be beautiful and glorious. Do you know what? We might finish this year in so much economic glory that you will not believe that we were the same people. In the time of turbulence, the branch of the Lord shall be beautiful and glorious. So don't remove us from the Lord and from his grace because it's turbulent outside there. That's exactly the time when we need the branch of the Lord. And then it goes on to say, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and very calm. This is not time to run away from the earth, because there is a promise that in that very same time, in the branch of the Lord, the fruit of the earth shall be beautiful. The fruit of the earth shall be excellent. So let's commit to excellence. In the midst of turbulence, we still commit to excellence. We want to excel. Let this not become just one of the forum. So this forum must become a brand, a celebration, and something to reckon with. It's very important. Now, it further expands, talks about very nice things, speaking to say, the Lord will make a flaming light and a cloud of glory by day and a flaming light by night, which means daytime you'll be under the cloud, nighttime you'll be under the warmth of God and the light of God. In the middle of turbulence, so let us expect kuti chinhu chatapinda machiri is like a chartered aircraft. It's going where God is going, and it will arrive regardless of the turbulence out there. Lastly, this important remark that I want to bring up. Lastly, let us also realize that there are times, especially times of turbulence and difficulty. In those times, like now, God uses the marketplace avenue to actually deliver and accelerate the kingdom agenda. Sometimes much more than the pulpit avenue. You get the point? God will use the what? Marketplace avenue to advance the entire agenda of the church and of the kingdom. Kutodarika, the pulpit avenue. Now, this is very, very important. for us to realize it. We might be deceived. And Paul Anoti, as you started so well, who has bewitched you? Or who has bewitched you? You might be tempted to look down upon the marketplace initiatives, thinking that this is less important than just preaching on the pulpit. You get the point? But let me give you 3 examples, and God gave me that in the opening of the year. It was actually part of the New Year message, which he probably didn't finish, but I said it, but I might not have repeated it frequently enough. Samson. You remember I read about Samson. Joseph, David. Look at these 3 people. We all believe that they are heroes in their own way. But if God had not raised Samson, do you know that the days that God raised Samson to deliver the Israelites in the marketplace and through the marketplace? Do you know what all priests were now useless in those days? Prophets were hiding. There was not even one visible prophet. There was not one visible priest. Because the turbulence was just so bad. If you read Judges 14, verse 4, Judges 14, verse 4, tells you what in those days, the Philistines had dominion over the Israelites. By the time dominion over God's people, including over prophets and priests. And the prophets will not prophesy. Priests will not teach. Temples will be shut. At that time, God will solve the problem through a marketplace person. You don't get the point? Through a marketplace person. That's why when the angel of God appeared to the wife of Manoah and his wife, they were from the tribe of Dan. And the tribe of Dan was a business tribe in Israel. It was a business tribe. Maringa appeared my business callings here. Because there is my gospel crusades jail at Z. They would mara zina. You get the point? We need to unlock evangelism. Right now. We need to unlock to end drug addiction. We need to unlock to end homelessness. They're failing to preach on Sunday. Some is in a ministry because we need to unlock. We don't underrate the marketplace. Ujifunga uta zvipa pulpit chete ndozvinoshanda. Pulpit inovharwa iyi kana kwashaikwa mari. In fact, dai kwakashaikwa mari tikanga isina kuita musangano pana. Asi vafundisi taive navo. Andi vafundisi vakaototadza uya musangano tikatozwa bail out nemari. Tikazwa bail out nemari. Pakwakawaniwa mari from the marketplace. Pastors were able to attend. So this is an important ministry in your marketplace forum. It's not a second class and last resort kind of thing. No. Even for Israel, I'm not able to profit about what's our profit. My musicians, we're all to my gospel musicians, so they can't rise. kuti magospel musicians asimuke, kuti vanhu vane mari kuti vamaprofita vasimuke vechokwadi. This is critical. So this is a very frontline ministry, especially in times of turbulence. It's critical. Not the same now. Nyaya Joseph, Genesis 45, from verse 8 to 13. Nyaya Joseph, Genesis 45, verse 8 to 13. Joseph anotaura kuti kuwakoma wake kuti, I'm your brother, I'm Joseph your brother. Uya wamakatengesa uya. But musazvidya moyo. Makanditengesa. Nyaya inoje kuti it's God who sent me here. Ahead of you. And akandituma to preserve many lives. As it is today. Let me tell you this. There are times when a pastor cannot preserve people. There are times when an evangelist can. You let him at a marketplace. Muna no sigama kurumente, are you understanding? Muna no sigama na far. Muna anema key emote card to preserve many lives. Muna anema key a food security. So let's not underestimate the marketplace forum. We need doctors to join us. We need agronomists, agriculturalists, farmers, they must join us. Because there are times. But that's one of the Mbamba ilipo. Chibabi. Muyoronje. Uripo. Takazo waleta kuti mukaka futi uripo pale store. Mukaka wakako. Takafara unge Sunday morning. You know, there are times when you just say, my prayer has been answered. My prayer has been answered. Junuzandan need $100 to go and buy. I'm now getting them from a farmer. Evangelion to farmer. So let's not underestimate the marketplace forum. Mwari ngavashandise forum. Ngatina matire forum. Ngati pushe. Ngati simudzire. It's important. Right. Imagine if Joseph had not broken through in the marketplace. Judah would have died in exile. Which means no Christ. Because Christ was in the loins of Judah. Levi would have died in exile. Which means no Levitical priests. They were in the loins of Levi. You know, all those guys would have died. There's no prophet, they were in the loins of hungry people. And those guys would, there's no prophet. So breakthrough. Now, what I can also say, that in our 24/7 here. That's why it's critical. Because 24/7 here, ikashayika vakomana. Zvimwe zvinhu zvati kuprofita mwachetu vazviti. 24/7 here inofanira kutosimudza also kuti tirambe tiri vapenyu. Unza wakaverenga Mapsalm 72 yanakamboposta pabhuku re24/7. Mapsalm 72. Inoti hanzi gold of Ophir shall be given, the gold of Sheba shall be given to you. Your variety he shall live. Your variety in his days. In his days the righteous shall prosper. But you know, in marketplace ministry, Maria vepu, gold yavepu, but zvakukonzeresa kuti The righteous life will prosper. The poor life will preserved. But Bumaban's prayer shall be made for him continuous. Which means Satan and kuti zvinhu zvinoponesa vanhu, especially zvine mari mukati zvikaramba. Kune mweya assassination. Why do we not have plenty of millionaires in Harare? And the few that we have, they are invisible. Because it's a war zone. It will like a prayer. I can tell you, I was a minister of the gospel. Strive Masiwa Pakasimuka. I was part of those that God used to make the farm. But I can tell you, Yanga Hondo to strive Masimu. It became an international war. Kuti Muslims is a billionaire. So we must also understand that Chisimuke. Chibosimus are a millionaire. We must be ready for war. We must be ready for serious prayer. Yes, we must be ready for serious prayer. We must be ready to confront witchcraft. Mukuno simuka witchcraft. Witchcraft charges. We're going to bind the spirit of sorcery, divinations, witchcrafts, my spirits and miscarriage, my spirits and sudden death, my spirits and accident. Because the enemy don't change this book. Because change just tapiwe ukaita billionaire munhu wese ari muno munyama akabvumira kunamata wari wiki asi anenge ari right nekuti unengotumba mari. Life goes on. You see. So this is spiritual work as well. It's marketplace, but it's also spiritual. Very, very important. Now, that's why, but in addition to 24/7, I was talking to Bishop Matongo the other time, and I was saying, Drufara Uti, 24/7. Bishop Bamba, KIAM prayer fit. Because we can never have more than enough 24/7. Now it's got 4 layers, 5 layers. Say 24/7, so 29. We actually need serious prayer. We need sometimes half-night prayer, my whole night prayer. Which I'm agitated. And then I tell you, Coco, got to get Kunyara, which is a project, I got to decide. Got to Kunyara, which is a material, you want to talk about which I drive a change because I know this. I don't know how many death threats I personally survived in the last 12 months. Death threats in the last 12 months. Chino each, no respect. Chino Jabuti, Vakarurama, Vamfume. So this is critical. Now, let's get to the last part, which is our ABC theater. Now, the window is open, according to Congress at the right. Sarah, Chapa new business. This new business, KIAM in the marketplace. What are the priorities? How do we determine my priorities when the window is open? Now, a very simple guideline, and it's a standard. Actually, it's applicable to point A, B, and C. So it's so easy to kill the 3 points with one stone. Now, these are very simple guidelines. It's not in terms of style, a little bit back in the comments. So, that's how this my project is a small. We can do anything, and see all things are permissible, but not all things are profitable. Like, tikapindura mubvunzo uyu wekuti iwo, I'm talking firstly at KIAM level. Wekuti and Joseph mukabvunzwa what is your occupation? Mufana wene into. Saka, what can easily become, in other words, your occupation means your common project. Because that 11. Yeah? It's like KIAM 11. My heads of households. What is your occupation? Which means chinhu chamunogona kuita chekuti we go parubeni nekumhuri yake chinogoneka. We go kwaNaftali. What is your occupation? Your generic occupation. Saka, iyoyo occupation, it's also a project. It's another word for project. What is your common project, a commonly doable project? And Joseph zeroed in, nofuka Joseph akadzidza zvinhu zvachona from achibvira kunana Abraham, nana Isaac, nana Jacob. And you know kuti Abraham ave nemombe, Isaac kuti ave nezvipfuyo, Jacob nezvipfuyo. Saka Joseph aiziva kuti munhu wese anonzwisisa nyaya yelivestock farming. Saka it's a low hanging project for all of you. But that project iyoyo ichazopereka mamwe maproject anokupinza iwo. Saka this is something that we need to address in KIAM. Now, that is a starting point. So, for a definition, what is our occupation? In the marketplace, what is our occupation? In the marketplace, what is our common project? And all. And chakanyakira nyaya food security. About both business and the social. Are you seeing that? Yeah. Ku business create a wealth. Ku social raramisa vanhu. And it's an occupation. Do you know what if anybody, any organization in a food, those people will have access to the president in 12 hours. Because president after the while, I'm going to feed that the army. You see? But when you farmer were much west, when you farmer, I told him, and my friend silos, market, perform market. Yeah. Around the JB perform market. There is no president who could ignore that guy. Whether it was Mugabe, whether it was Ian Smith Baswag, Farmer Ian, had a direct line, no president or prime minister. Because Zaraiti Kanyan Ruma, Maeda unogogodza padhoo pake usiku. Nyika muchigogodza padhoo pake. Now that helps you to understand how powerful Joseph was. Yeah. Saka wakomana KIAM has got an open door. Rekuti food security. Gatipide. Now I shall explain normative later. Saka, but I'm also presenting this for our discussion and adoption. I'm also presenting this for our discussion and adoption. Now, food security projects. Zvinhu zvinogona kuitwa nemunhu nyangwe akafoira grade 7 muruzisa vanhu nyangwe akafoira grade 7 Micah 4 verse 4 inoti pamazuva makingdom project chaivo chaivo hanzi every man will sit under his own feet and everyone under his own vine and no one will make them afraid. What is that kind of an occupation or a project anyone can sit under his own feet and under his own vine? It's food security. Zvimwe zvingakaramatike ukatadza but food security, especially the kind of environment yatinayo nenyika yatinayo neclimate yatinayo. Food security. Food security. Well, that's a structure of government. Panama buildings, British, Panama buildings, I make sure that I'm going to go next to the bus stations. But next to the bus stations, Pane headquarters, Army and Air Force, next to the president. Then police, next to the president. And the see how we go to the Kuro, Chaminuko. Then go to the Gungunyana beauty. Agriculture. Including here agricultural research and specialist services. But next, I'm just trying to again food security. Okay, now Great Zimbabwe. Great Zimbabwe. Matura Enika Akanga next to the king. Because empires rise and fall on account of food security or insecurity. Ukashaya vanhu vanokurwisai asi mukarwiswa panzara chete empire inokoromoka. It collapses. Villages collapse. Families collapse. Kwashaiwa food. Saka Maringa vatibatsire as KIAM. Let's recover this occupation. Ngandizogona zvangu zvemakombiyuta ezvimwe izvi as secondary yechikafu. Food security, team security. This is critical. This is critical. Even the Strait of Hormuz, part of Koromora where the Gulf region is because drawing import of food denied by those desert countries. If your food is cut off, Saudi Arabia, your money is Shabbat. If food cannot reach it, governments get overthrown and we have food. So this I recommend. And the good thing they will even if we are not farm owners, I have discovered that farm around the farmers are free. I don't talk KIAM. I don't talk farming. This country is full of places like that. And this thing can create wealth for all. This thing can create income for all. This thing can create dignity for all. Out of food, nobody will turn of food. Utano uruba food. If the health forward without you, this kind cannot go by injections. This kind cannot go by tablets and drugs, but by a good diet. Food security. So let's take over. Let's be masters in this thing. We can't be wrong. Can't be wrong. Now, ndataura KIAM here, but our churches is the same thing as well. our households, our churches, my churches in KIAM, my masters in food security. Not just get down to families in the households. My masters in food security. Ngati say let it become an ordinance. It's used at the level which was known. At the level which is known. It's a standard. Well, I'm sure you have to join the KIAM marketplace forum. Something like that. Wow, I'm sure which careful. This is critical. Yeah. So then this was the point A, but let me say A, B. That A, right? But if you want to put, I don't know your numbering system, if you are saying A, B, whatever. Finally, this issues the current inotipa a powerful marketplace for or marketplace for foreigners. In number one, that's all I put in. What is your occupation? You know, it's possible. Now, maybe the chili power. God, if you say, where, we put in my and I was not doing that. No, tichasvika pane zvako zvaunoda ngazvive nenzvimbo yazvo asi pane zvimwe zvatinofanira kuve nazvo tese. If we are to be strong, then kochiuya issue yekuti vamwe vaifunga kuti tine nzara, vachifunga kuti tiri kuzoparara, vakabvunzwa naMwari kunzi what do you have? That's another question which we must answer. What do you have? What do you have? Saka yandataura yekutanga yekuti what is your occupation? Inoda kuti tiite a survey within the marketplace forum and honor. A survey yekuti what do we have now towards wealth creation, towards social sovereignty. Now, let me mention the importance of that. When there is social sovereignty, my pastors like Pana, those who teach and preach and disciple people, and you discover that you try to disciple people, but the wrong disciple are sometimes not as a creature or is because these people are social captives. They don't have social sovereignty. Avazitonge social. You get the point? You know what is zvakanaka stere. As far as you remember, but lesson pathway, they are not in control of the social order. The social order, the social market outside, is being controlled by others who are not themselves. So it is called a hopeless minority outside. So as children of God, ngative a survey amongst ourselves. Yekuti tinyatsoone social profile, economic profile. Yeah, what we have. Kureva kuti zvatinazvo izvozvo tozoona kuti zvinoshandisika sei to give us social sovereignty. Zvingashandisike sei to give us wealth sovereignty as well. Jacob akadiscover kuti ndiri murombo rwekumustere pana. I am a captive panapa walabhari. but pane chimwe handinacho pano chekuti ndinotombofudza wines nembudzi nemombe idzi. Saka it's part of what I have. I've got access to izvozvi. God can start with me as zvandine access to. And that's where he started with me. God started manufacturing a miracle using the social access. It was not even business access, but it was like social. But if people don't want to money, you can have a business. He ended up with the economic sovereignty as well as social sovereignty. I don't know. So I'm encouraging you my profile survey. This time around, let's enforce it. God remove and my change, you are in a potential. But that is documented. And I see, therefore, it's translated into projects. Here in potential. See at no matter both at KIAM group level, at churches level, at household and individual level. No matter I like it when you come town, my workplaces. Do you know my workplaces? Every van, Shandai Park, Vadura is what they move Shandi one. I will go now check it out, one. They are literally refresh. They are very much high. I don't know, but company by planner. Their annual plan, to ignoring that person. I know the only anatomy social support base. So the punishment that we have, but we don't keep records of it. And we don't value it. Do you know what in church so? Parents in church is a routine. But now, if I say interesting, I will run this one in church. Rose Chamberlain, in a wisdom, which after my friends are service, Chamberlain was a month. Kuyomana, Ida, Mugona was Namari Maswes. Yotum Rogation. So that there are social opportunities that we are not utilizing. Do you know what Jairus G? Bakazaka, the Jairus G thing, he was like a mad person. I didn't see. I can't even Masabu was not money. I answered to the But by the end of the day, he became the most prominent person in any village he had. It was a social asset. But my social assets are now, including my social things that look like social talents, but it's wealth creation. That is not typical social sovereignty. My I want to believe with Korea or my Korea Changa Murora Muan. But the Moza and Mutawa someone. I don't fool. But I want to thank God for probably a husband, the magistrate, who gave her the room to express herself. There's no one to Mabuku, American Oprah Winfrey. She's so sharp. She put it in motion. So let's audit what we have and plant it where it belongs. Because it's genesis for companies and business. Then AT, whatever the way that you are using for numbers. panel, what I can also call, we sort of need what you may call side, an inventory of side hustles. Inventory of side hustles. And digital is what is your occupation? You are told I am West, but balance my side hustles. It will be so. In addition, could be common denominator. But in any come on the side. Let's see, create an inventory of that. Let's create a list of that. I mean, like, can we side that? So I'm about anything technology done. I don't break around that. I just see hapana chaanoziya chii zvatakachi kana muchita muchisi kushanda ini aida chinotoshanda chete or anochibreak achitotraya something. So so there's certain people wekuti anonanga ari pastor but he's a very good motor mechanic. Some discourage pastor sitting in this motorcar it's a side hustle. Musi because it's wealth creation. It's a treasure. Business channel. Business although now register my shops in a garage by the restaurant. But the restaurant Kinjenge chifamba stele kutengwa maorange ni mabanana kudarika maplate efu. My orange banana is a side hustle. The official thing is funding me up. But my orange is my banana. So the side hustles. Or tea is next door. All right. Saga, the side hustles. I think it's a side one. Also nearly 5 minutes. You can just see what you suggest. Okay. Tilpa side hustles are here. Right. So by Bible shall we have a last point. So let's take our teacups. Maybe to wait. I'm going to say for a moment. Okay, let's just go. Let's just go collect and come back to tokens. It's okay. Yeah, sure. Let's just go. Sure.